So the GOP tax cuts continue to be incredibly unpopular, with the Politico Morning Consult poll last month showing that it hit a low of just 37% support. So they're deeply, deeply unpopular. I've got more polls here to back that up. According to a Monmouth University poll released around the same time, 34% of Americans say they approve of the Republican tax plan, compared to 41% who say, we do not like this tax plan. We believe that it benefits wealthy people. Got another poll. According to CNBC's All-America Economic Survey, conducted by Hart Research in mid-March, found that only a third of Americans have actually noticed more money in their paychecks after the tax cuts were passed. Now, immediately, Republicans were saying right after and even before, oh no, you're going to notice a lot more money. You're actually be doing really, really well. That's going to help jumpstart the economy. It's going to put it into overdrive. Well, it turns out later on, only a third of Americans have noticed more money. More than half, about 52%, say they see no change at all. And of the minority who say that they've noticed a little bit of extra money, a little less than 40% say that it's improved their finances both a great deal or a fair amount. So only a few people have noticed, yeah, it's a little bit of a boost to our paycheck, but it's not really anything to write home about. So, in fact, the remainder say that the money either helps a small amount or not at all. So, that's a bit of a disaster, and the reason that I'm giving all those polls for context is because the Republicans right now are banking on the tax cut bill, their so-called winning policy, for the midterms. And they're going to run on, the tax cuts are fantastic. You're being helped out so much by the tax cuts. In fact, here's what we want to do. We want to double down. We want to give you even more tax cuts. And in order to do that, they have to sell you on this. So here comes Fox News to tell you why you should support the tax cuts and why you might not have noticed any extra money from these tax cuts. Spoiler alert, it's your fault.
Bill passed, the Democrats were saying that only the top 1% would benefit, but that doesn't look like the case.
No, that was what they said going into trying to stop the tax bill from passing. But within a month, the IRS came out with the numbers on what percentage of American taxpayers actually would get a pay increase, because a tax cut is a pay increase. When the government takes less of your money, you get more take-home pay. That's a pay hike.
Absolutely.
90% of Americans pay lower taxes today because of the Republican tax cut. 90% of American taxpayers got a pay increase, meaning you get to take home more money because the government takes less of it. So the difference between 1% and 90%, that's not a math problem. The Democrats were lying.
Oh, it was the Democrats that were lying. Yeah, okay. Interesting. No, you just lied. Tax cuts are not a pay hike. Your employer is not actually paying you more for your job. In fact, your employer actually got a massive tax cut. One that is absolutely permanent. Whereas, of course, these tax cuts for individuals actually do sunset, I think, in 2025. So how is that a pay hike? No, it's not a pay hike. His entire framing is absolute bullshit. And of course, that's not the whole reason, of course, that of the segment, because he's going to go on to explain how great this tax cut is going forward. Let's watch.
Yeah, but Grover, don't you think people know that by now? I mean, we've got another graphic to show folks. A typical household, $26,000 over 10 years. A family of four get to keep close to $45,000 more of their money, which ultimately we all want to do. We want to give Washington less of it and keep more in our own pocket. But as we go into the midterms, the Democrats' message is, we want to take that back from you. I don't know that that's a politically wise thing to say out loud.
Okay. So that's bullshit. Oh no, the Democrats are running on, we want to take that back. No, they're not. No, the tax cuts for the rich. And this is part of the obfuscation, right? So they're trying to say, oh, the Democrats want to take away your tax cuts. No. Actually, progressives want to actually have the rich pay what they should be paying. Because right now, the rich actually pay less than we do. Corporations actually pay less than we do because of all the tax loopholes that were put in. Oh, remember how they said they're gonna lower the rates, but they're gonna close all the loopholes. Where are the loopholes? Who closed the loopholes? No, they're not. They're still open. That's how these corporations can take advantage of not only these lower rates, which, by the way, the loopholes that were there before allowed corporations to pretty much pay the same. Now they have new loopholes, and which allow them to pay even less. You're getting scammed. That's what this is. It's a scam, right? Now, as far as the math goes, I don't think that checks out. In order to save that much money, or on your taxes, you'd have to save around $4,000 a year for the next 10 years in taxes to equal $45,000. I don't think they're quite there yet. In fact, the Nonpartisan Tax Policy Center estimated that the typical middle-income household would see an after-gain tax gain of $930. That's for the year. $930. Assuming a one-paycheck household, what does that add up to? A little less than $18 a week. $18 a week. You know how much Jeff Bezos makes? He makes that. What? He makes probably $40,000, $45,000, like every couple of minutes, or every minute. It's an insane level of wealth. So here you have a graphic from Fox News that doesn't have any context. But of course, according to Norquist, it's not the fault of the system. It's not the fault of the tax cuts that you're really not seeing that benefit, that $18 benefit. No. It's your fault.
It's not. There is something interesting. Some polls suggest that a number of Americans are unaware that they're keeping more money. One of the reasons for that is 83% of Americans have direct deposit. So they never look at their paycheck because their pay goes straight to the bank. And it's nice. You don't have to go to the bank and drop off your paycheck and cash it every 2 weeks. But it pays to go take a look at your bank account. And we saw in May an increase in consumer spending, we think, the economists think, because people looked at their bank account and said, I've got more money than I thought I did, and they made different decisions. So people are noticing the higher pay, but it took longer than you'd expect because of direct deposit.
Wait, so you're saying they didn't notice it, but then they noticed it and they actually spent more? Doesn't make any sense. And the other thing, the big argument is, you just didn't notice because you had direct deposit. You don't look at your paychecks. Really? People who are living paycheck to paycheck kind of pay attention to how much they're getting paid. They kind of have to know if they're going to be able to pay rent today, or food, or whatever. Oh, but no, they didn't notice. I mean, sometimes I don't notice. I don't check my bank. I got direct deposit, so like I don't check to see if that I save money from taxes. Well, Grover Norquist is a pretty wealthy person, so yeah. Well, actually, you know what? Let me go to that. Somebody who's a member of the top 1%, which, look, to be fair, I don't think Grover Norquist is part of that. But an average 1%er saves about $50,000 a year in taxes. You probably noticed that. But here's the thing. Okay. Look, if you were saving a significant amount of money, to be honest, you probably would notice. Because there are things such as check stubs, by the way, that you can get from your job. But most people have not noticed an extra $18 a week. Why? It's because everything else is getting expensive. For example, gas went up, rent went up, health insurance went up thanks to changes instituted by the Republican Party. And look, even the price of things like appliances and stuff like that are due to Donald Trump's blundering on trade. That little tiny piece of savings, which, yes, it is there, has been eaten up. Not only that, but wage gains have also been eaten up. by inflation. So, yes, people are not noticing this because it's not that much money, for one. And number two, everything else has gotten so much more expensive. This is why America actually needs a living wage. This is why we need to raise wages to $15 an hour. But again, you know who noticed the gain? As I mentioned before, the top 1% saved over $50,000 a year. And where'd they spend that money? Well, they didn't spend it on raising wages, that's for sure. No, they ended up buying back their own stocks. See, that's the scam. Okay? These tax cuts have delivered nothing for regular working people. It was all a lie, and it was all a lie orchestrated to benefit their donors. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.